To you all the kids all across the land. It's no need to argue, parents just don't understand. Okay, here's the situation. My parents went away on a week's vacation and they left the keys to the brand new Porsche. Would they mind? Well, of course.
You know, I'm making this video because I'm disgusted with Jada Pinkett Smith. I know a good majority of you are as well and shit. Her latest stunt to get attention and clout for whatever reason was to post videos of her and Tupac lip syncing to Will Smith's songs when he went by the moniker Fresh Prince. Okay, you know, Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff. They were lip syncing Nothing But Trouble or whatever, and it's very telling and shit. Like, she posted that on her social media. She has like 11 million followers. 11 million followers. Mostly well wishing black women and shit, right? And, I looked at the clip and I thought about all the things she's done while she was married to Will Smith, and it makes me physically ill and shit. It's been a summer of that. Okay, it's been a summer of that shit. Actually, it's been a whole year of that. Starting almost last year. With what I called, the Glorillas and shit, and the Sexy Reds, and the Krishan Rock and shit, the Suki Hana, and you know, a bunch of other shit. You can trace right back to her red table. This woman's red fucking table and shit. And I want to tell you, sitting here thinking uh, about all of the copious amounts of emotional abuse she's heaped on Will Smith and shit, in order to make him divorce her so she could take a a third and a half of his wealth. You know, I think it's just a grift and shit. And I don't think that she loves Tupac as much as she says she does. He's just a useful tool that she could use to chip away at Will Smith's, you know, whatever remains of his masculinity. The man went through Hollywood, became a megastar. You don't do that without making some sacrifices physically, mentally, and spiritually. You do not. You cannot get into Hollywood at that level without compromising much. Okay? And he gave her everything in the world. She hated him. Okay? She thought he's a punk and a sucker. And she still thinks like that now. Basically, she thinks like your average run of the mill, self hating, street Keisha. Okay? And I'm disgusted. Okay? I almost threw up and shit some hours ago. And I remember that I hadn't felt that way since I decided to stop making Kiki Palmer videos and shit because she made me vomit and shit. I was so disgusted with her behavior and thought that extreme measures should be taken to send some of that psychological warfare right back at her and shit. But we know the guy was a pussy. Okay, he was a cuck ass nigga, and that's why I didn't even continue making videos and shit. But getting back to Jada Pinkett Smith, and I believe a demonic witch or a demonic imp, literally. I literally think that I think she's evil, okay? I don't think she's an asshole or nothing. I think she's evil, okay? You would have to be evil to do the things she's done, okay? And, in our culture, there's a code of silence, and these black women ain't gonna say shit, but they're gonna big up her and give her, oh, that's cute and all that, and they know what she's doing. They know what she's doing. It's a culture of violence. They're like the Klingons. They are literally the Klingons of our ethnic community and shit. In that their misandry goes unchecked for most of the time. All right, makes me, my voice is like screaming in a wind tunnel and shit. And I would hope that a lot of more black male, content creators would join me in screaming down that tunnel and shit until the walls fall down. All right, it just I see, Tupac lived very quick and tumultuous life and shit. And I don't remember him really, caping for Jada Pinkett Smith like that, or giving her, allocates or talking her up and shit. He mentioned her a couple of times in interviews, but if he wanted her, he would have had her. And he didn't want her fucking ass, and she knows he didn't want her ass. And I think that burns her bridges. I think that when we're looking at her using Tupac as a weapon to attack Will Smith continuously and unceasingly, when we look at that, I think she's really attacking both men. She's attacking Tupac for not loving her, or giving a shit about her, really on the, on the real, keeping it 100. And I think she's attacking Will for trying to love her too much. I think Will stopped loving her a long time ago, but then he realized he was stuck in a relationship he couldn't get out of and shit. If he sends a lawyer over to talk to her about, settling out of court or whatever to dissolve their marriage and shit, she's gonna see it as blood in the water and try to take him for everything and shit. So Will has to stay in this relationship, but he doesn't have to interact with her. And I noticed that in her last Instagram post, she refrained from mentioning him directly. And I think that maybe he might have sent contacted her through his legal representative so that she would stop using his name for clout. And be that as it may and shit, the best way to take down Jada Pinkett Smith is to use the greatest weapon against her. Okay, the greatest weapon against her. Because it's, how ghoulish it is for a man to have, lived and died and shit. A very famous man in our ethnic community, Tupac Shakur. Okay, Tupac Shakur, man. He was murdered. He's murdered violently and shit. He lived a tumultuous life, had been in jail and all kind of shit. And none of that shit did I ever hear him talking about Jada Pinkett Smith. And then to see her using him, just playing with his corpse, digitally, playing with him and shit. I just wonder, I wonder. I think Will Smith has the tools that he needs to, if he wants to stop her from doing these things and shit. But, he's, usually black men, we're trained to take copious amounts of emotional abuse and narcissism and, just literal terrorism and shit of your spirit. If he woke up one day and didn't feel shit in his heart for her on any level, if he woke up and thought that, all he would have to do is contact Tupac Shakur's estate and ask for a meeting with a gentleman named, his name is Tom Wally. He is the executor of Tupac Shakur's estate. When he's a white man, he was appointed by Tupac Shakur's mother, who inherited his estate. And I think it's worth like a little over $50 or $60 million right now. But Tom Wally is the executor of Tupac Shakur's estate and owns his, owns all of his holdings, and his likeness too, probably. Yeah, Will could contact Tom Wally, have a sit down with him, and explain to him that Jada Pinkett is doing damage to the legacy of Tupac Shakur by using him as a straw man weapon to abuse him publicly. And he should, he should come to an agreement with Tom Wally that they should send a cease and desist letter to Jada Pinkett Smith to stop using Tupac's name in her online posts and stop referring to him and don't use his image. And they should file a lawsuit. They should file like a big ass lawsuit. I would shadow, I would go to Tom Wally and tell him, hey man, I want you to sue Jada Pinkett Smith for using Tupac Shakur's likeness and shit. All right, using his images of him in any form. Like you should send her a cease and desist letter, like big time. Okay, they just go at her. She'll make a big deal out of it and shit, and try to, use the black community and shit to fight back. But ultimately, you are the executive of Tupac Shakur's, will. And if I was Will, I would take it even further and contact Tupac Shakur's sister and his other family members and have them, give them airtime or set up something like some kind of platform where they can express how disappointed and disgusted they are with Jada Pinkett Smith that she would use their image of her brother, to do emotional abuse. Okay, that's how you stop her, man. Can you imagine if someone took like your dear mother or father and were just posting things and talking about them and just making a mockery of their fucking life, which is what Jada Pinkett is doing and shit. Tupac had an opportunity to wife rub him anytime he wanted, and he never did. Okay, he never did. Only back in the day, the only thing I heard about Tupac with like Madonna, and Quincy Jones' daughter and shit. And where does Jada Pinkett Smith fit in there? Where does she fit in there? She would die for that man. She would rather die for that man, supposedly. But I think, in all reality, what we're seeing is her hatred of Tupac and her absolute disgust with her own husband and shit, who was a cuck ass nigga, a effeminate beta male and shit, and he can't get out of the shit. He done a bunch of shit in Hollywood, and he got his back to the wall and shit. And he got very limited wiggle room and shit. Barring all that, the only other thing Will can do is just move into one of his other properties and limit her contact to him. Just get a different phone number and just act like she don't even exist and just do shit and be seen out. He can still play like, I don't know if he's, closeted or not, but I think that, he could play up his image. I think he could, get himself together and work on his body and everything and just be seen out in public having the best of times and shit and just ignoring the fucking ass. Just, leave her in that gilded cage. She wanted to finesse Will Smith. She never loved him. You can look at her wedding pictures and see that she never loved him. She and those babies that she had, that she destroyed, their children, the beautiful children that she destroyed. She destroyed those children. She destroyed Will's future and shit as far as they go genetically speaking and shit. She did all this shit because she is a fucking evil troll. Okay, she's a demonic imp. I can't even really look at her and see a woman anymore because it's so disgusting, the perversion that she's done to, womanhood, especially in that ethnic community where it's on the wane. All right? This is why we tell you, gentlemen, to, protect your seed. Okay? Protect your goddamn seed, man. Don't give it to these women and shit, They're irresponsible. They open their fucking legs and, make bad choices and shit and be with the wrong people, and it's your fault. It's your fault for not putting a condom on and shit when it's their body that the child emerges from. Okay? Now I want to get into, a whole argument about that. I could do a whole nother video. But I think that it is disgusting that Jada Pinkett parades Tupac's digital corpse around for her own self-aggrandizement and her own self-promotion and shit. And I think it's foolish. And I think that Tupac's family should get on her ass with a fucking lawsuit. I think the sister should sue her for continually posting images of him and just talking shit when she was never nothing. The sister could come out and say, Tupac never talked about her fucking ass ever. He never talked about, he never cared about her. And I think Tom Wally should be made aware of her activities and explained to by Will Smith in person and shit. And I think that he should pursue a cease and desist. It's the only way to stop her. Cut off all her avenues. But she'll always be there, okay, in Will's house. She's the monster in his house. And that's what you do. You put the monster in a cage and shit. He should never divorce her. If she's not going to get out for the bare minimum and shit, he should never divorce her. Never. Okay? Never. Okay? And just keep her always a couple of houses away. And just ignore her and ignore his fucking kids and live his best life as much as he can after being emasculated in public and having his greatest moment marred by her presence. Okay? She is a demonic imp. She's not human. That's how I feel. Anybody that follows her is following the devil. All right? Yeah, that's pretty extreme, ain't it? But I don't give a fuck because if you're a straight black man listening to my voice, you know what it is in the community and shit. You know these goddamn women have gone unopposed for so long that they're insufferable now. And your only option is to turn the fucking lights off on their ass. Okay? Reboot this motherfucking shit by just bypassing them and getting some other women wherever you can find them. All right, repopulating this bitch, rebuilding this shit outside of them and leaving them outside. All right, I don't think Will Smith should ever give her anything. I don't think he should divorce her, and I think he should take great lengths to make sure that she is not going to get money after he passes away. Right? He should name some other white dude as the executive of his estate and shit, and make sure she doesn't get or disperse that money to charities upon his death. And I think he should give his kids like barely $1 million a piece after he dies. You know, because they failed him as children. They failed him. His children have failed him and shit because they've been indoctrinated and warped and nastied out by their fucked up mother and everybody else. Will failed himself and shit when he didn't get rid of this obvious gold digger. All he had to do was look at his fucking wedding pictures and see the expression on her face. And he probably did, and he thought maybe I could love her enough where she'll love me. That's feminized energy, right? He wasn't thinking right, he wasn't using logic and shit. But Jada Pinkett wouldn't have been nowhere near you. Wouldn't have been nowhere near you, Will. Okay? You have other children with your first wife. And you should thank God for that. You should get down on your knees and kiss the fucking feet of your first wife and shit. And make sure she get a big ass check. Because she's the only one to get you a kid that's not a fucking, that's not fucked up. And don't, I'm glad I don't see your eldest son and most of the time hanging out around there. All right? Or Jada might take him to bed. All right? You got a monster, Will. And it's your job to put that monster in a cage. Never let out of that fucked up marriage that she finagled her way into with her shitty mother, doing a grift, doing a decades-long grift for tangibles and shit, and getting two biological golden parachutes. And make sure she can't pull that shit. And when she do, forks and knives gonna come out of that bitch, and she's gonna fall like a fucking rock into hell. All right. I want to see Jada Pinkett hounded and harangued this shit and dragged through the streets by her feet like that statue of Saddam Hussein and shit when Iraq fell. All right. If you want to do some shit like that, the best place to start would be with Tupac Shakur's estate and his family members. You should contact them and ask them how they feel about her innumerable posts, which are meant to attack and abuse another man who gave her everything in the world. He put $366 million of assets and property and everything in her lap. She never has to work a day in her life. How many black women would love to be in Jada Pinkett's fucking shoes and wouldn't give a shit what Will was doing behind closed doors as long as she had the money? Makes you side-eye Jada Pinkett and shit. And even if you were a misandrist, a shitty ass, black misandrist and a man hater, even you would have to logically side-eye her. Right? Nah, I'm gonna get off of this shit. I'm disgusted by Jada Pinkett Smith. I hate posting her image sometimes, but it is necessary. And it is one of the reasons that my channels and my platform exist. Right? And I want you kings out there, I want you to have a chance at life, You are not put here to suffer to make someone else's situation better in any respect. And that's basically what it's about. If you drop all the acronyms and the pills and all that, the red pill and all that bullshit, throw that shit to the side, use your common sense and your discernment, and you realize that sex is a lower brain function. It's not the be all and end all and shit. All right? And you get some distance from your family construct. It's toxic and codependent and soul killing and shit. Take 3 steps back, take 10 seats back, bro, and then turn around and run away. All right, they won't notice, they won't care. And even if they do, they're not going to admit it because of their innate, entitled hubris and shit. It's almost childish in a satanic kind of way. Anyway, there's over 18 minutes now in this commentary. And I had to take that time to, because I want to reach somebody and shit. I don't know who's going to hear this or anything, but I really want to let you young men know you are kings. You are kings. You're sleeping kings. Okay? It's time for you to open your eyes, okay, and sit up and see what's going on. See the forest for the trees. I really want you to be safe. I want you to have a the best chance possible for a fulfilling life, okay? And realize your dreams. And don't let anyone overwrite that, pervert it in any way. All right? That's why I make these videos. With that being said, keep your head on a swivel, protect your bag, and above all else, protect your seed, because that is your future. That is your legacy and shit. Okay, guys? All right, Kings? SYSBM equals save yourself, black man.
For it is written, the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with her blood. And I saw her sit upon a hairy beast, and she held forth a golden chalice full of the filthiness of her fornications. And upon her forehead was written, Behold, I am the great mother of harlots and all abominations of the earth.
This message has been paid for by the Dusties. Yes, the niggas you love to hate.